Mrs. Walker serves on the UALR Board of Visitors, Vocals Board of Directors, Our House Board of Directors, the Arkansas Advocates for Children and Families, and the Arkansas Bar Foundation Trust Committee. She is past president of the Debtor Creditor Bar of Central Arkansas and the past president of the Alumni Board of the University of Arkansas Bowens School of Law, where she currently serves as a member of the Dean's Advisory Committee. Ms. Walker received a BS degree in accounting, summa cum laude, from the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff in 1992, and is Juris Doctorate from the University of Arkansas at Little Rock School of Law in 1945. She is married to... 95. Sorry guys, she's married. She is married to Assistant U.S. Attorney Edward Walker, and they have 2 children, Victoria and Ethan. When I take my seat, I've asked you to stand and give a great applause to this little giant, this little tough piece of leather that's well put together. All right, will you rise and give her a hand?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I was telling Mrs. Williams that I've gone natural, so that's why I've let the relaxer go. In this picture, I had a relaxer. Now I've gone natural, so that's why I look a little different. It's a pleasure for me to be here this afternoon. And Ms. Williams sent me an email saying that she looks forward to me coming to visit with the students, to have an up-and-coming young attorney come and talk to the group. And I think I said, well, I must not look my age, which I appreciate that. I had to fill out a form the other day, and I had to check the box that said between 45 and 49, and that just floored me. I am closer to 50 than I am to 40, but God is awesome. He is so awesome. But I just came to, I have a few bits of information or word. I don't even know if I call them words of wisdom. It's just some things that I've attempted to live by. I'm appreciative, and I thank God for the accomplishments that are listed in my bio, and that's all good and dandy, but I'm more thankful for where I came from. And I see it daily that, God has a plan for each and every one of us. And things occur in our lives that we don't even know why they're happening, but He knows why they're happening. Yes, I'm thankful for where I am right now, but I'm more thankful for where God has brought me from. I remember the days growing up, and He has things happen for a reason. I remember the days growing up when, my dad was unemployed and we were on food stamps, and I don't know if any of y'all are old enough. I know some of the instructors are too. And I don't know if you got the big blocks of cheese and the big blocks of butter. And I remember those days, but God had those things happen to me because He knew 40 years down the road, this is what I would be doing. He knew that 40 years down the road, my charge in life would be to help people that are having financial situations or financial burdens. So I didn't know why it occurred. I didn't know why we had to get our school clothes from Walmart. I wanted to go to Dillard's like everybody else. But He has things, like my friends were doing, not everybody, but He has things happen for a reason. You may have noted that I did also graduate from a HBCU. I'm so extremely proud of that. Back in 1992, and I graduated with a degree in accounting. Now, at the time, I thought, well, I want to get this accounting degree. I want to become a CPA. I want to go work here and there. But that's not what God had for me to do. So my last year in college, interview for the Federal Reserve Bank in Kansas City. And I didn't get the job. I just said, oh my goodness, I'm not used to not getting the things that I set my mind towards, but that's not what God had for me. God had something else for me. And it turns out shortly after I did not get that job, we had some recruiters come from ULR Bowen School of Law, and they were trying to recruit African American students to come to the law school. They were offering scholarships and stipends, and I said, well, I like to talk, so maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. So God knew I was not supposed to be in Kansas City at the Federal Reserve Bank. He knew that he was placing me, he was putting me where he wanted me to be. He started that journey back when I was young, but he knew that was what he wanted me to do. Sometimes in life, we all know this, that God will close a door, and we just wonder, why is that door being closed? This is what I want. But he knows. We may not know. He knows. Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. So if things don't transpire exactly like we want them to, it's not about us. God knows what he wants for us. We just have to be open to the concept that he knows what's best. He knows what the future holds. Now, I know that can be hard sometimes. I know that will cause us to sometimes doubt when things don't go our way, but know that that God has it all under control, and he knows where we're going, why we're going there, where he's putting us, why he's closing that door, why he's opening that door. We all know or heard of that verse that, to much is given, much is required. Well, what about us? What about those that haven't quite made it, or where they think they should be, or are successful, or things of that nature? So many things are required from all of us, not just those that are on all these boards and committees, or the pastors and the preachers and the CEOs. Things are required from each and every one of us, because each and every one of us has a gift that God has given us. I would never be able to get up here and sing. Never. That's the gift that God has given her. God has that premise that to whom much is given applies to every one of us. We have all been granted that abundant grace from God. We have all been given the Holy Spirit. We all know the Word, and it's incumbent upon us to use what God has given us to serve others. We are not put on this planet just for us. I'm of the opinion that, God does not just come down here on earth and walk amongst us and fixes your problem and fixes his problem. He sends people to help us. He sends us out there to help others. It's what we're charged to do. It's what we're supposed to do. So if you want to receive love, you got to give love. If you want to receive joy, you got to give joy. If you want to be prosperous is not all about just money. Prosperous is being happy and fulfilled. If you want to do that, go out there and show that to other people. Now, but what if we're in a position to say, well, I'm doing all that. I'm doing all this. I'm showing all this. I'm giving. I'm doing, and I'm not getting exactly what I think I should get. Well, keep doing it anyway, because what we're doing is what is happening in our lives today is not just for us. You're planting seeds for your children and your children's children, and you're setting up equity for them. So you may not get exactly where you think you ought to be, but you keep moving forward anyway, because you're setting your seed up. You're setting yourself up, but you're setting your seed up. It's not about, God does not place us and give us what we have just for us. Because you don't be careful. What you do have, he'll take it away from you. Now, the thing that I always try to do, and I'm not perfect, none of us are perfect, but I truly go by that verse that love covers a multitude of sins, because I am not perfect, but I try my best to show love to everybody that I can, anybody that I can, because I am no better than anybody. But for the, how does it go? But for the grace of God, there go I. But for God's grace, that could be me out there asking somebody for a quarter, or that could be me out there dealing with a sickness and an illness and just feel like there's no hope. But one of my most favorite verses that it's a group of verses that I try to live by. I don't know if you guys know the story or the Bible verse, the sheep and the goats. Y'all know what that one? Matthew 25:31-46. Can I read it real quick? I'll make it quick. Okay, when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. We're building up, guys. We're building up treasures in heaven, and we're building up treasures for our seed. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep and the goats. He will put the sheep on his right. I want to be over here. And the goats on the left. I don't want to be over there. Then the king will say to those on the right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father. Take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." And then the righteous will answer, "Lord, when did we see you hungry? When did we feed you or gave you water when you were thirsty, or gave you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?" The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Whatever we do for someone else, we're doing it for the glory of God. You know what? I don't try to figure out if somebody is needing help and ask me for help. I'm not trying to figure out what they're going to do with that and where they're going to go with that. That's between them and God. But I don't want that to be God asking me for help. And I just said, no, I don't think he's doing what he's doing. But let me tell you what he says to the goats. I want to be a sheep. What are they to do? Bye. What do goats do? I've never been able to figure that out. What do goats? I don't want to be a goat. That's why I don't know what they do. Then he will say to those, I don't know what the goats do. Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me." They also will answer, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or needing clothes, or sick, or in prison, and did not help you?" He will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for the least of these you did not do for me." We all have different gifts. We all have different abilities. We all have different capabilities. It's incumbent upon us to do what God has charged us to do. You may not be able to go and give the church $500 on a Sunday, but participate in the services. Help in the youth department. You may not be able to send that cousin of yours that's in prison money, whether you agree with what he did or not, but you could visit him. You can write him. if you see somebody on the street, you may not be able to give them a bunch of money, but go buy them a hamburger if they need a hamburger, because you don't know who we are doing these things to. So that's what these accomplishments, they're all nice and good, and yes, I don't look 47, and that's all nice and good, but my desire in life is to show others love, because when I show others love, when you show others love, you're showing God's love, you're showing God through you, and that is what we are required to do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Thank you.